I used to be that girl that would compare myself to every single person and then wonder why I was so insecure and I was barely accomplishing anything. But fast forward now that I am an adult and have taken control over my emotions and my thoughts and my mindset, I can tell you how important it is to stop comparing yourself and why comparison is keeping you stuck. Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Chelsea if you're new here. On this page, we love to discuss all things self-help, self-improvement, and becoming our best versions of ourselves while we are building our dreams. So if that is your vibe, maybe subscribe, leave a comment down below, and let me know that you're here. So I have my notes today. I actually handwrote them for the first time. And I want to first start by talking about why people compare themselves in the first place. I think a lot of it starts from like a deep-rooted feeling of insecurity and unworthiness, and coming from somebody who absolutely felt that, I can tell you how much it almost rewires your brain and your thought process and what you choose to seek out. I know for me, when I was very insecure, it was easier for me to look at other people's faults or compare myself to them and make myself feel better than it was to acknowledge my own shortcomings. And I feel like a lot of people who compare themselves either compare themselves to make themselves feel better and say, okay, well, at least I am not as bad as this person, or at least I didn't do what this person did, or at least I don't look this way, and whatever it might be. That's the first way that people compare themselves. The second way that people compare themselves is to tear themselves down. Oh, I'm not as pretty as this person. I don't look as good as this person. I don't have as much money as this person. I'm not as liked as this person, whatever it might be. If you are one of these people that you are either comparing yourself to people to make yourself feel better, or to make yourself feel like crap, you need to cut it out, regardless of what it is. When you think about how different everyone is in this world, when you think about how many lives are out there and how different all of our stories are, when you zoom out of it, it kind of feels silly to start comparing yourself to people for whatever the reason might be. And not to be rude, not to be blunt, or whatever it might be, but it is very obvious when someone is insecure and comparing themselves to somebody. You hear it in the way that they speak about people, you hear it in the way that they speak about others, and you hear it in what they decide to give their attention to. And if you were doing any of these things that I have just mentioned, and you're wondering why you're stuck, why you're not progressing, why your life is not getting better, why you're not making any friends, why you feel so insecure, girl. So today we're going to talk all about comparison and how it keeps you stuck and how to get out of that mindset so you can start to build your own life for yourself. So I'm not going to act like I have not been this person that I am naming in this video. I want us to be honest with each other. I want us to feel like this is a safe space. And for me personally, I used to be somebody, obviously, as I had mentioned, who was very insecure to the point where I would compare myself to other people. So if I felt like my hairstyle was cuter than somebody else's, even if I felt like I was unworthy of love or being liked or whatever it might be, I would look at this person and be like, you know what? At least like my hair looks better than this person. At least I look better than this person. And it sucks and it's so shitty and it's not a nice thing to do and I'm not proud of it. I was like 12 when I would be doing this stuff, but at the end of the day, these are the mindsets and mentalities that keep you stuck and keep you competing with other people when nobody is in the same lane as you. You want to know why other people are so far ahead in their lives, in their journeys, why people look so put together, why their lives seem like they have it all figured out, or why they are building something that's actually tangible, is because they're not focused on what other people have going on. That saying that comparison is the thief of joy is not just for fun and shits and giggles. It is so very true. Because you can compare yourself to any single person in this world till you're blue in the foot or whatever the heck blue in the face, blue in the foot. I don't know what the saying is. Whatever the saying is, but you can compare yourself into the ground to anybody in the world. And by doing that, you're just going to start thinking about all the things that you don't have in your life. But why don't we flip it and actually take a second to think about what we do have? You might not think that it's that serious, but I think the people that are the most judgmental, that are the most concerned about comparison, are the most unhappy people, especially with themselves. Whatever you're criticizing in other people, you're secretly judging about yourself. And if I'm calling you out, I'm sorry. I'm not very sorry, because I think this is something we should all be thinking about. But anyone that's actually happy with themselves, that's happy with their life or what they're working on or what they're doing, is not thinking about other people, good or bad. They are not breaking themselves down, thinking that they don't deserve good things or that they're not, worthy of certain things. And they're also not comparing themselves to other people to make themselves feel better. So if you have been continuously comparing yourself to somebody, I'm asking you genuinely sit down with yourself in silence without a device. Take a pen and piece of paper. Ask yourself what good comes from you comparing yourself to people. I'll wait. Probably don't have an answer for it because nothing good comes of comparing yourself to people. Do you know how special you are as a human being? Do you know how individual you are and how unique you are as a person? It is so unfair. You are doing yourself such a disservice by comparing yourself to every other person. Nobody is like you. Literally no one out there in the world is like you, has the exact thoughts that you have, that has the exact look that you have, that has the exact talents and upbringing and background and culture that you have, all blended into one. How silly is it of you to start comparing yourself to other people and then using that to tear yourself down and feel like you're not worthy of anything? You're worthy of so much. And the sooner that you realize that, the sooner that you realize you have your own unique talents and gifts that the world would love to see, the faster you can start to build up on that. The faster you will get yourself out of that rut and feel less stuck. Because if you dig yourself a hole where you're just only thinking about other people around you, of course you're not going to be putting in energy for yourself. Of course you're going to feel stuck. Of course you're going to feel like things are not moving for you. So I didn't want to come on here and just yap your ear off about why it's bad to be comparing yourself to other people. So I have 3 tips that I have used in my life that I still use to this day that have helped me get out of that mentality of comparison and have allowed me to really see the value in myself and who I am as a person and then take charge on my life. Okay, the first one, I need us all to get honest. And I'm going to come closer so you guys can really hear me. We need to get honest. What are you unhappy with in your life? What are you unhappy with? Because, for example, if you are somebody who knows that you are unhappy with your finances in life, and then you see a bunch of influencers online, and you're comparing yourself to them, using them to make yourself feel unworthy, or using them to make yourself feel better by tearing them down and saying that stupidness, like they don't have a real job or whatever it might be, you're speaking from a place of insecurity. You're speaking from a place of ego. And the only way for you to get out of that mentality is to be honest with yourself and ask yourself, okay, what am I genuinely unhappy with in my life? If you're unhappy with your health or your fitness or whatever the heck it might be, if that's something you're if that's something you're unhappy with, and then every time you see a fit person that triggers you and you're comparing yourself to them, maybe start to work on yourself, or just start to ask yourself what you're unhappy about. And then ask yourself, if I'm unhappy about this, have I been doing anything to change it? And if the answer is no, not that you don't, have a right to be criticizing people, but just sit in that and ask yourself how silly it is to say that you're unhappy with something, know that you're unhappy with something, and then do absolutely nothing to change that. So again, are you unhappy with something in your life? And are you doing anything to change that? The second one that I think is so fun and so cutesy is to appreciate the beauty in differences. I am from Toronto. I am from a very multicultural city. I have grown up around so many different people and cultures and religions and food and whatever the heck it might be. And I think that is such a beautiful thing, and what a privilege, because it has allowed me to acknowledge the beauty in differences. I love so many different types of foods, and it would be silly of me to say that one culture's food is superior to another. I know a lot of people are biased and have their own favorite foods, but I'm just saying there is a place for everything and everyone. And just because you're different from somebody else does not mean that you don't have value, that you don't have a place. There is room for everything and everyone to have a space. And I say this all the time, but there's room for all of us to succeed. And someone else's success does not deter from your own path and your own journey. They're on their own lane. They're in their own lane. So if you were we're all running our own races in life. And if you are comparing yourself to somebody else's life race, you're setting yourself up for failure, because you will never be able to be that person, because you're just not them. You won't have the same life path as them. You won't get the same things at the same time as them. You won't have that same journey because you're a different person. So stop comparing yourself and take a second to appreciate how beautiful it is when things are different. I am so grateful that I get to eat so many different types of foods and be surrounded by so many different types of cultures. And I think it creates a very beautiful space and a very happy and well-rounded life. So next time you're thinking about comparing yourself to somebody, just think about that. Okay, third and final tip that I have, and I feel like I say this in all of my videos: the more you focus on other people, the less time you have to focus on yourself. And this one is like the most basic sounding one of all. It's like, duh, obviously, stop focusing on other people, but it's easier said than done. If you are someone that's going on social media and is zooming into other people's lives and zooming into their photos and looking into what they have going on and if they've been traveling or what their jobs are or whatever, da 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 da, what a waste of your freaking energy. It's nice to look at what other people have, sure, and appreciate that and be happy for them. But if you are somebody that's just constantly thinking about what everyone else has going on, you are taking away all of that energy that you could have been spending building your own life, being happy with what you have, figuring out how you're going to make your life better or improve your life or certain aspects of it. You can't focus on something important to you while also prioritizing everyone else's lives and what they have going on. I am building a talk show right now from scratch. It is very difficult. I do not have time to be worried about what other people have going on. And I can imagine people who are building very big things or very things that they really care about, businesses, changing their lifestyle, whatever it might be, becoming more aware of themselves. If you are somebody that is focusing on something that really matters to you, that takes up most of your energy, you don't have time to be so focusing on anyone else. So ask yourself what you need to be focusing on. The number one thing is yourself, but if there's something else, a side thing that you can start to give your energy to, also start thinking about that. I'm going to keep saying it, comparison is the thief of joy. And if you keep comparing yourself to other people, you're going to feel stuck. Your life is not going to move because all of your energy is being expended to other people, to other things that don't really matter. So if you've been feeling like you're stuck and you're in a rut, ask yourself where you've been giving your attention to, what you're unhappy with in your life, and why you keep comparing yourself to other people to either A, make yourself feel better, or B, to tear yourself down. Anyways, guys, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, your week, whenever you're watching this. Wishing you endless inspiration and belief in yourself. We've got this. I will see you in the next video. Bye.